Alright, this is Dave's Killer Kitchen, and hey, today we're making meatloaf. I do meatloaf a bunch of different ways, but today we're going to do it by sauteing some onions and peppers to start. Here comes the dog, that's Bailey. We're going to saute some onions and peppers, and then we're going to incorporate that into the meat. So to start with, I got about 2 cups of onions and peppers there, about a cup each, a little more onion than pepper. And what I'm going to do is by sauteing this a little bit of olive oil, we're going to kind of get some of that flavor out of it. So step over here, my heat's been on, my olive oil's been running. You can see how that's moving rather fast. Oil moves slow when you first put it in. When it's hot, it starts to move fast. You also can hear it when it kind of hits down in there, start to sizzle. So what we're going to do is we're going to saute this up. It's going to reduce down quite a bit. We're going to add some garlic at the end of there to get that. Then we're going to let it cool. We're going to start to build our meatloaf. I'll be back in a minute. The onions have been going for about 10 minutes. They're starting to get a little translucent over there. What I'm going to do now is add the garlic. And I want to add the garlic after that's been going because the garlic will burn quicker. So I'm going to do is smash 2 cloves of garlic. Just get a knife, put some pressure down with the palm of your hand. When you do that, the skin should peel off pretty freaking easy. And now we can just kind of chop this up to whatever we want to do, whatever size you want to do. I like to mince it up pretty small. And earlier, I didn't say it, but that pepper and onion that we got in there, I diced that up. We started talking about dicing vegetables. You want them kind of small. The size of your fingernail and your pinky is probably about what diced is. That a little smaller than that actually. So, and it's alright if there's a few pieces in there that are bigger than that. It's not the end of the world. What we don't want people to do is just bite into big old hunks of pepper and onion when we're doing our meatloaf. And we certainly don't want them biting into big old pieces of garlic either. So I'm going to chop this up. Mince it up, I should say. I'm not chopping, I'm mincing. When I add this garlic, all I'm going to do is let it go for another minute or 2. Because garlic will burn pretty quick. There we go, I got that. Got that pretty good there. Alright, we're back. So, our peppers and onions have cooled along with the garlic. Got everything out that we're going to use to assemble with our meatloaf. So we're going to use a couple different things. We're going to use some lean ground beef. We're going to use some Italian sausage, mild. We got our breadcrumbs, our eggs. I don't use milk when I make meatloaf. We're going for something a little more stick to your ribs, a little more pub style. So what we are going to use, we're going to use a little Worcestershire. We're going to use some barbecue sauce, a little bit of hot sauce, some ketchup and mustard. Normally I use brown mustard, spicy brown, but we're going to go a little Dijon on today. We're also going to add just a little bit of oregano, and we're going to crack some fresh ground pepper in there. So let's start with our eggs. We'll do that first, that way if I get a shell in there, I can fish it out without worrying about any of the other stuff. So we got 1 egg, 2 egg, and there it goes, a little shell came down in there. So I'm going to come on back. Here's our mixture from earlier. You can see it reduced down. We're going to put our peppers and onions in there. I'm using a lean ground beef. It's actually a 90-10. I don't normally go that lean. But you need a fat to kind of bind this stuff together. But we're going to get that fat in a couple places. Obviously, there's olive oil that was in here. So we're going to get some of that fat from that olive oil. And also the Italian sausage is going to add some fat in there. So we got those 2 things. Get rid of that. So we got our peppers in there. Where is that? Is that on the inside? Our onions, our eggs. Let me get this out first. We're going to throw in our Italian sausage that we got the other day. Just ground Italian sausage. So I got about a little over half a pound of Italian sausage and a little under 2 pounds of ground meat. It's about 2.5 pounds total. Really, I use about an egg for each pound, so a little under on the egg. I didn't quite want that much ground beef, but that's what they gave me, and it'll work out fine. All right, so now we're going to start adding our wet ingredients. We're going to use a lot of precise measurements, you'll see here. We're just going to give it a couple shots of Worcestershire, just enough to get it in there. I'm going to use what's probably going to come to about 1/4 cup, maybe a little bit more ketchup. Probably a little more. I'm going to use about the same for barbecue sauce, maybe a little bit less. And I will not add any sugar or anything like that in here. I've seen recipes that do that before, people that do it. But I'm going to get my sweetness from that barbecue sauce. And I'm not a big cook with sugar kind of person anyway. You can use mustard powder. You can use yellow mustard. You can use brown mustard. Today I'm using Dijon. I'm going to use a little bit less of this, so probably a little over 1/4 cup of ketchup, maybe about 1/4 of the barbecue sauce, probably about 1/8 of a cup of this Dijon here. Okay, kind of the same measurement styles with the Worcestershire for the hot sauce. I'm just getting a little bit of, just a little something on the back of your tongue. When I say hot sauce, I'm not talking about Tabasco. Tabasco is more vinegar based. These hot sauces like Frank's or Crystal, which is another one I use, or more, you can even see it says in the label there, cayenne pepper is the first ingredient that'll be in there, cayenne pepper sauce. All right, now that we got that going, I'm gonna grind in just some fresh pepper. I'm not adding salt. Salt is already probably in the sausage and it's in the ketchup in a few other places. And sometimes I put oregano in, sometimes I don't. Today I feel like putting some in. So it comes to about a teaspoon, maybe not even that much. Probably half a teaspoon, okay? And I'm gonna start with about half a cup of panko breadcrumbs. You can use regular breadcrumbs, but I was watching something the other day and they were talking about how panko could actually add a little more of a buttery flavor to it. So I'm gonna try that. And if I need to add any more, I'm gonna have that right there and ready to go. So let's just start mixing this together, dig down in, and really kind of bring all this together. And once we get it put all together, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna let it sit for a while. Just kind of come together and marry, absorb all the flavors. All right, so I'm gonna add a little more breadcrumbs in here. About half a cup in here. I'm gonna add about half of it to start with. Don't want this to get too dry. I want to make sure it kind of binds and comes together too. Mixed together pretty good. I got it in this bowl, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this sit for a little bit. Then we're going to go back and cook it, and that's where we're going to get a little bit different with how we cook this. We're not going to use a loaf pan like you might think or normally do meatloaf in. We're going to do it in more of an open pan so that we can get it brown on all three sides, the top and both sides. So we'll let this sit for a little bit, kind of come together. We'll be back in just a little while. There we go. All right, so I just got our mixture out of the refrigerator. Yeah, you can let it sit as long as you want or as little as you want. I think the longer it sits, the more it kind of comes together, those flavors kind of blend, which is a good thing. So now we're gonna take it and we're gonna transfer and make a loaf in our Pyrex baking dish here. I'm gonna spray the bottom of it so it doesn't stick. And I've already got the oven going, and I'm doing it at 375. I'm turning it up. Normally you do stuff like this, maybe more like 350, but I'm trying to get a little bit of a crust on the outside. Not a crust maybe, but just to get it done a little bit more on the outside. What I'm gonna do is take this, move it in here, just form it like you would if it was in a loaf pan. That kind of came out real easy. Scoop up these last little bits here, push it together. Okay, and so here we go. I'm gonna do it again, 375. Probably is gonna take, with over 2 pounds of meat here, probably needs close to an hour. The internal temperature should get about 160. I normally don't use a meat thermometer for that. I'll just kind of cut into it to see what's done. Just spray the top with a little bit of this olive oil spray here too, and that'll kind of help get that brown, crusty color we're looking for on the top of it. So, and what I'm gonna do before it's done is I'm gonna make another little mixture. Probably get we're gonna get some mustard, some barbecue sauce, and some ketchup. Mix it all together to make like a little glaze that we're gonna put on the top of it right before it's done. So here we go in the oven, and we'll check back on it in probably about 40 minutes or so. And put that glaze on. We'll be back to make that in just a little bit. All right, so hey, it's been 40 minutes. We just took the meatloaf out of the oven. I don't think it's done yet, but you can see the outside. It's got a little bit of that, just what I'm looking for. It's just getting done. Got a little bit of crust to it. It's gonna kind of cut in the middle here just to kind of check it out. Could use a meat thermometer, but it's gonna kind of cut in there. And yeah, we still got some redness in the middle there a little bit. So it needs probably another 20 minutes or so. So I'm gonna put it back in the oven for about probably another 10. And then take it out, and we're gonna put this glaze on there. So let's get this back in to keep that going. And then let's make this glaze. Got a few things going on the countertop here. We're also gonna do some green beans with garlic to go with this. But just to kind of put it on the top of this thing, the last 10 minutes, I don't want to put it on too early. But I'm going to use probably about a quarter cup of ketchup, maybe a little bit more. Some barbecue sauce. Again, I'm a little heavier on this, about a third of a cup. Maybe half, that's actually more like a half. And then we're going to put just a little bit of mustard in here. Mix this up, give it a taste. It's a little heavy in the barbecue, I'm going to add just a little more ketchup in there to cut that. And then what we're going to do with this, we're just going to brush it all over the top of that meatloaf when there's about 10 minutes left. We'll be ready to go. Meantime, we're snapping some green beans. We're going to blanch these in some water on the stove, smash up some garlic, get the garlic going, a little bit of olive oil after we blanch these, and then mix the two together. We got some pine nuts, that goes really well with this too. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes. All right, so we just let this go for another 10 to 12 minutes. We got our green beans and getting those ready to blanch behind me. I just took an instant read thermometer in here. It's coming up about 150. You want this to be at 160, 165. We got about another 10 minutes to go here, maybe 15. I'm gonna lower my oven down to 350. I've gotten what I've really been looking for. This kind of bark and this crust on the outside. We can see all the juice down in here. That's gonna be good. So it's a nice kind of firm on the outside. It worked out really well. I'm gonna go ahead and push this together a little bit. I'm gonna baste it. And like I said, I want this to get up to about 160, 165, probably another 10 or 15 minutes. We're gonna go all around this thing. All right, I think we're good. Over here, we got the green beans going. We're just gonna do them in a frying pan. I'm gonna blanch them for about 5 minutes, get the water boiling, do about 5 minutes. We're gonna dump them in a strainer, and then we're gonna go ahead and put some olive oil in there, chop up some garlic. We'll have some green beans with olive oil and garlic. So we're going about another 10 minutes, get this thing up to about 165. 160, 165 is what we're looking for, and we'll be good to go. We're gonna get going on our green beans though. We're gonna have this with the meatloaf. I chopped up a clove of garlic. We strained got the colander out for the green beans. I dumped those into there. And what we're gonna do is just add the garlic into our pan here with a little bit of olive oil. We'll let that go for just a minute. If you got some pine nuts, they go really well in here. Sort of sliced almonds or pecans or anything like that will work really, really well. We're gonna come back here. I'm just gonna saute this garlic up for just a minute. I don't wanna burn it. Get that going. Now I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna take my green beans, I'm gonna add them back in. That water will kind of help keep the garlic from burning. I got this turned down to low heat at this point. It's on a big burner, but I'm gonna kind of get all the green beans coated with that garlic, with that olive oil. Turn it down even just a little bit more. Got a big burner here. Take that, I'm gonna use some kosher salt. Sprinkle that on top. Fresh pepper, and perfect. Those are going to go really well with our meatloaf. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this out. The meatloaf, I think it's about done. It is looking good. Turn the oven off or the stove off, pardon me, for our green beans. I got those just sitting there staying warm. I'm gonna pop this in down here. And again, because we got that pork sausage in there, really probably want to get up to about 160, and we're blowing through 140. Getting up there, and we're about at 160, so we're good. We're gonna cut this open, serve it up on a plate, probably let it rest for just a little bit, but we got some nice That's a nice slice of meatloaf right there. That ain't your grandma's meatloaf. Hope you enjoy it.